Greetings, fellow nuclear engineers. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to RimWorld Frostwardens, episode 102, running a hazard mode test. We are done making the radiation protection clothing, and we are just readying for the arc upgrade. Crossing our fingers that everything goes well and we do not super die. I know you just realized the bunny's going to die from radiation with the upgrade. I'll talk about that, actually. But not necessarily. But we'll get there when we get there. Smaggy, thank you for the resub, and welcome. So our base is, I would say at this point, pretty well contained. We want for nothing. Not really. And one thing I was planning on doing, with the lovely amount of steel and components that I have, in order to train more crafting skill for our craftsmen, my intention was to hook up additional coolers, coolers. God, like we need coolers. Additional heaters in the bedrooms to try to bring the temperature up in the bedrooms. And then possibly do that for the rest of the base. Now, little spoiler, I had thought the true finale, because honestly, upgrading to the last stage of the nuclear arc is kind of like an underwhelming crescendo to the series, was the final thing I would do would be to trigger a very, very cold snap. So in building these heaters, I am sort of preparing for that in a way. But the heaters I'm building right now are not going to be enough. Not even close. So we have got 15 more uranium to burn. And we're trying to build up our uranium count so that we have enough uranium to, you know, continue to have the nuclear arc powered. One issue that we've been running into is we don't really have a source of another uranium node. Especially not one that is like close to the base, which is a bit of an issue. And as a result, we are depleting the last of our known uranium. And I had thought that I might need to build another ground penetrating scanner in order to make sure that we don't actually deplete all our uranium. Because if we did, you know, it'd be a real problem. We would have, we would all die. We would all die. And I don't know about you, but like, we would all die doesn't sound like a fun time, so my hope is that I can scan up some additional. But that does mean having people on the ground pen scanner. So, to that end, the people that potentially research, I'm going to... I don't really need wardening. Like, no one is ever wardened. The people that potential research, I'm going to transition over to a higher priority of research. The problem here is, of course, it's like most of my plant tenders, which is, like, not great, but we'll see how that shakes out. Because, yeah, without another source of uranium, we could deplete. I think it's unlikely, but as an insurance policy, it might be good to find some anyway. These are the team-killing idiots. These breachers were killed by their own. And I think that is all the corpses that are down there. I'll search for dead. Oh, no. Yep. The only human dead are now burning. They'll be dealt with in just a moment. So one thing to keep in mind is we are in the deepest of winter right now. It is negative 120 Fahrenheit out, which, needless to say, is a little chilly. We are doing our best to try to keep the bedrooms warm. But it's pretty safe to say that, like, that's a bit of a challenge given the outside temperature. And it looks like I need to deep drill some additional wood. What I was hoping to do is to build a door here to shrink the bedroom even further, to make sure that it's really easy to heat these bedrooms up as much as we can. It also might be worth considering putting in some auto doors. I'm not like fully convinced in that plan, but it might not be a terrible idea if we're trying to preserve heat. Where are you going? No, forget that meal. Just leave it out there. It's gone. How the generator upgrades going? We need to burn 12 more uranium to upgrade to the next tier. So I think well would be the answer. At this point, it's safe to say I probably don't need so many cotton basins, as we have 1,300 cotton and we have all the clothing that we need, meaning that this stuff up here can become something else. How's our medicine? We have a lot of medicine. So how is our drugs? We could use more beer. I'll put all hops up there. Even though I have a lot of hops here, I just realized, but yeah, whatever. We're gonna party like it's 5509, because it is. So, question for you guys, and I'm gonna poll. Should I build another ground scanner? How urgent do you think my uranium needs are? Now, to put it in perspective, I have 600 uranium stockpiled right now, and there is about 500 uranium left in the ground, giving me 1,100 uranium total. We only burn about 7 a day. Having analyzed that, maybe for role-playing sake, getting another scanner up so we have another source of uranium makes sense. But I think for, I think I have enough uranium to easily last me until the end of the stream. So it's just like, do we commit to the role play of needing uranium, or do we not? And you are free to vote however you'd like. One other thing that we could do is buy a flat screen TV. Maybe put some additional... I don't like the look of those chairs. Actually, I don't like the look of any of the chairs. But put some additional chairs into our poker table. There's a lot of nice to haves that we could afford at this point. And there's no reason not to install them. A siege from Prime Army. You know, I'm not entirely worried about this. They don't have any siege weapons. And it is negative 104 out. Regardless, I don't take kindly to being shelled. Axios is super far away. Okay, so it won't be Axios. Who's closer? Why am I getting vanilla RimWorld music? What? There we go. I was like, what is going on? The mod forgot that music ought to, you know, be correct or whatever. Alright, enjoy the shells. That was pretty quick. I think the mod that's supposed to be doing the whole, like, music thing is obviously all... Oh, you know what? It's my fault. I forgot to click some boxes. Stupid me. Basically, I said that there was no combat music that'd be applicable. So the game was like, oh, you have combat, but we don't know what to play. Yeah, my bad. Alright, schedule. Everyone behind the walls, because we do have raiders coming in. That looks wrong. Actually, that was right, but the rest was wrong. Okay, there we go. Alright, with them coming in, let's go muster. And make sure we are ready for all of the lovely people that are coming to try to murder us. Where's my other sniper? Cardinal and Fangface. Okay. No, I had 2 snipers. No, maybe I only had 1. Alright. So in they come, and as I mentioned, there really isn't any like Doom level weapons, so I'm not all that concerned about this raid as a result. Should be a pretty straightforward one. With that said, it'd be helpful to have Madsen guarding the door. Wow, what are you wearing? Hyperweave and flak? He would not go down. I was expecting him to die, like, many times sooner than he did. Alright, Tennering and AR aren't really shooting at anyone. Madsen's duking it out with Mashinto, who has a saber. Well, he did have a saber. Alright. Run! Now at this stage of the game, even though we did lose a whole bunch of stalwarts, I really don't intend to bring anyone new into the community. It's just not worth it to me to invest in people at this point. It just doesn't make that much sense. Your name was Gundozer. With a sniper rifle. I'm not sure you know what Gundozer means. Yeah, there's been some seriously wealthy raiders. You were not wrong about that. Alright, I don't want anyone going after this meal, though. I'll re-forbid that. So the only injuries was a few bruises that have already fully healed. Nice. No problem at all. Wow, my steel and coal has disappeared. I really, truly do not know where it went. I'm going to shut down the uranium drills. We have a nice stockpile of uranium at the moment, and fire back up our coal and iron to get more steel. We are 3 uranium away from the upgrade, if you were wondering, and I'm sure you were. Just 3. All right, fish pick, destroy the old TV. We'll leave it there. Actually, put it there. And Rogi's like, guys, stop using so many components. What the hell? Sorry, Rogi. Rogi is our new smith as a result of losing Wishbringer. And I don't envy the smiths in our colony. They toil. They toil a lot. Happy Father's Day to you, too. To all the fathers out there. It's probably enough wood. Alright. One more uranium. We burn about 6 a day, so in about a sixth of a day, we'll be done. Alright, we are installing the shielding. So it is becoming the isotopic arc. It requires 4 advanced components, 4 arc components, 100 gold, 100 plasteel. And Fishpick and Axios are the only ones that have the knowledge to build this thing. And Fishpick is the only one that has both the knowledge and the construction skills. So he is, well, he is the foreman. So I guess that stands to reason. A lot lands pretty squarely on his shoulders in terms of responsibility. Generating with Inspired Tame. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get another taco. Are we wearing the lead line clothing? Not yet. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. We just don't need to do it right now. All right. With the isotopic arc, this is the second to final phase. I'm going to hide myself real quick so you can actually read the tooltips. So, install a system that instantly shuts down the reactor in dangerous situations, avoiding catastrophic failures and giving time for repairs. Additionally, safety mechanisms, also allow anyone to maintain the atomic arc, not just those who have studied the variants. A very, very important upgrade, so that the survival of the arc isn't solely on Axios and Fishpick's shoulders, which is massively important. And that is the final upgrade. In order to do this, the arc needs to operate in an uninterrupted hazard mode for a year. I don't think I'm going to go for an entire year. I think I'm going to go for half a year, which I think is a little bit more reasonable. But right now we're in safe mode. And when we switch over to hazard mode, let me hide myself again so you can see it. So right now we're in safe mode. And when I switch over to hazard mode, it will bleed radiation out around it. Now, the way the radiation works, as far as I'm aware, is the range of the radiation is half of the fuel that is loaded in. So if there is 100 fuel loaded in, the range of the radiation will be 50 tiles. Now, we are producing an incredible amount of power. So what I want to do is fine-tune it so that we're only loading as much fuel as the power that we need to restrict the amount of radiation that is produced, and then figure out exactly what that radius looks like and make sure that Tacos here lies outside of it. So Tacos in his current bed is at 30. So if we have a uranium loaded more than 60, it's dangerous to Tacos. Which means we can set this down to like a uranium target of 50, and Tacos will be fine. Well, maybe not fine, but we'll have to create a safe spot for tacos where there's like raw rice in a heated environment so that tacos is okay. That was the idea. So before we do this, I'm going to edit the apparel policies. And make sure everyone is wearing lined and masks. So before I turn on hazard mode, everyone needs to be wearing their appropriate clothing. If they aren't, they die. That simple. So, a lined jacket, lined pants, and cloth radiation mask will give toxic environmental resistance of 100%. It's actually greater than 100%. And if you're wondering how important that is, it's important. The amount of radiation that spills out during hazard mode is enough to kill in a few minutes. It's not like a toxic fallout where it's like, oh, it'll take a few days. No, it's going to cook your insides fast. Like, real fast. I'm also going to fire up a arc overdrive. And the reason to fire up the arc overdrive is to burn the uranium that is currently in the core, to reduce the amount of uranium in the core, to restrict the range at which the uranium is effective. The other thing is the meleeers are going to be set to ranged winter, so that they take off their helmets and they take off their armor in lieu of the clothing that they should be wearing, so that they wear lined stuff. So our brawlers are no longer in brawler attire, so we need to be a little bit more careful with them as a result. All right, doing a quick check. Everybody has lined stuff, so the next step is Bunny. You are going to be restricted to just this spot. I'll have a shelf of rice here. And that's going to be bunny rice. And the bunny won't really be able to leave the barracks. On pain of death. Within seconds, can the reactor be used against raiders? No. It's not quite that fast. Alright, we have another siege. These guys have 2 dooms and a triple. And I'm gonna wait to turn on hazard mode until the uranium is decreased a little bit in the isotopic arc, because it's still too wide. Okay. We are manning the mortars, waiting for them to do a supply. I know that the mortar barrels that we have are, the top mortar is getting brutalized. So, again, it's not about fullness. It's about literally the level of uranium in the arc. So right now, it has 90 uranium loaded in, which means the radius of radiation would be 45. And you can see why I'm not in hazard mode, because it would kill tacos. I could, however, isolate tacos within, like, the farm or something. That would be not an unreasonable thing to do, to try to keep the bunny safe, but I'd rather adjust the uranium that's in there now instead. Okay, They're triggered. I think what I'm going to do... Rearm barrel. What was my Axios? Rearm barrel. Are the really dangerous ones down? Yeah. So there's a Doom. There's a triple. There's another Doom. I think all their Doom level... No, there's one more person with a Doom. Where is he? Oh, no, maybe not. Nope, yeah, all their Doom level weapons are downed. The last person with the Doom is Clara here, who's bleeding out. I know I don't have any shield belts. I am aware. So Madsen and Fishpick, you are going to be forced to wear them. Madsen, you're going to wear the Masterwork one now, and Fishpick, you're going to wear the good ones, flip-flopping from where you were previously. Because Madsen, I'm basically not using Fishpick in combat situations anymore. They're pretty yeah, I mean, some of them are dying to hypothermia, and others are dying to the blood loss, so I don't think this is going to be all that hard to beat. Hello? Shoot. Someone's got a line of sight. Must be, yeah, go juiced. I was like, how is he not dead? Alright, Mr. Madsen, come up to the door. I don't think we'll really need you, though. Yep, they're already fleeing. That dude ate a lot of bullets, true. And he was already shredded by mortars. So they're fleeing. It was easy peasy, as I said. Does radiation affect plants? No, it does not. So I think in order to trigger the hazard mode, maybe what I'll do is temporarily put the bunny up here. It is warm enough up there. And just to show you how hazardous the hazard mode is, we're going into hazard mode now. Because you had questions about the speed at which the toxic fallout or the radiation effects. So I might only be able to show you in the... Yeah. Here we go. 1.3, 2.6. And outside of radiation zone already. But it's quick. If we weren't wearing clothing, it's like it's a few percent per like few seconds. So within a few minutes, you're dead. The reason why I wouldn't ever consider using it as a raider trap is you'd have to let the raiders get really close to your reactor, which is honestly just stupid. Who wants the most important object in the entire colony to be overrun by raiders? That's a terrible idea. So, current priority right now is survive the hazard mode radiation. High levels mean carcinoma. High levels mean death. You die at 100%. Oh, what is going on there? Why are they still building up? They should not be. There's a bug here, I think. That's very odd. And I'm not exactly sure how to fix this bug, because, yeah, I mean, we are literally at toxic environmental resistance of 100%. We should not be getting radiation. Well, I'm going to set it to safe mode for now. One thing that we could do is wait for its fuel levels to burn down a lot, and then have its zone be really small. I'm not looking for solutions from you guys. This is a coding problem. I'm gonna solve this my own way. Reading like 1,000 suggestions about how to fix this within the constraints of the mod is not all that interesting. That's really weird. It's really weird that because I tested this, I play tested this and it worked. So I don't really know what happened. Oh, hold up one sec. I want to hide hidden headifs. There we go. Because hazard mode's arc makes so much power, it is possible to potentially run the arc in a really low fuel hazard mode to severely restrict its range of radiation. Can an update be messing around? Possibly. It's just, it's very odd because, as you can see, obviously, toxic buildup here is, it doesn't make sense. When you're 100% resistant to it, you shouldn't be succumbing to it. To put it bluntly. I mean, if I had biotech, I could just, like, implant the waster gene into all of the pawns, but, I don't have, biotech. Is the bunny fine? Yeah, the bunny's fine. Bunny's better than anyone else, being that far away from everyone else. Fish pick with a creativity. Yeah, let's mess about and try for a very fancy billiards table. A shoot frenzy. Well, that would have been useful during this raid. Speaking of which, let's actually clean up the raid a bit. Axios, I'm sure you don't mind. Oh god. Little worried about them. Don't repair that wall. No, Cardinal, don't repair that wall. I don't have a lot of faith that you won't just burn yourself. They are dyeing their masks. And they will also dye their lined clothing underneath. Given time and Tinctoria. Or dye. Alright, so my current plan is to let the isotopic arcs loaded uranium decrease tremendously and then run hazard mode. And I might need to rework the base a little bit to compensate for that. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. Looking good. Now, who thinks I'm going to get a legendary billiards table? Let it be known all around the world that we have the legendary billiards table. So in terms of what is lethal and what isn't, I would say like maybe fuel 20. Obviously having a hospital right adjacent to it is a big problem. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on everyone's hazard amount. All right, Tacos, you're going to need to eat something, so I'm going to put you on the original bunny zone. And I've been keeping the fungus field unsown. I think we have enough. Well, I'll sow it one more time, but we probably have enough nutrifungus already. Yeah, you can see how irradiated we became in such a short period of time. We really did not run hazard mode very long. Yeah, I saw that coming. Alright, break that down. You're only constructing 14, so I don't know what I was expecting. Better, I guess, but see you, Livy. So we're getting our steel count back up. Good, because we burnt through a lot of advanced components and components trying to get this isotopic art up. So even at uranium level 57, we're still like plenty grid excess. So what I want to do is I want to finally tune it for the grid excess to match what we need. And I think in this case, shutting down the northern farms entirely might be smart to reduce power need. So I'm going to try to play within the challenge constraints of this run. So we'll shut this bad boy down. I know the double strand is not going to fare well, but, you know, that's just how it's going to be. Everything gets shut down. We're going to get a lot of death cold notices. And the idea is to reduce our power needs so that we can run hazard mode without a lot of power draw. Unfortunately, a lot of our most critical parts of our base are like right around the isotopic arc. So it's going to be a little tricky to manage this given the bug in the mod. But I'm up to the challenge. Will life throw you curveballs? Too bad I can't, like, take uranium out of this. That'd be nice. Rogi, are you not cooking? Oh, right, because you're just smithing this whole time. I really don't have another cook, do I? Axios is close to 6 for the fine meals, but not quite there yet. Maybe I'll just have him bang out some meals before going back to it. And we have tidied up all the dead. So now the rest of the hauling is just like bringing in the siege site stuff. Which is not a big deal. Thank you for tuning in to RimWorld Frostwardens, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow Frostwardens.